Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Zareth, and today we're doing a Rogue Trader tournament report using Firestorm for possibly the last time in a while. I went down to Laramie, Wyoming, which is a place I used to live. In fact, I got my master's degree there and met my wife there and everything, and it's crazy that they're having 30-man Rogue Trader tournaments. I just can't, I can't get over it. I remember we used to have to beg people just to show up, just so we could have a 6-person RTT. So good on Games Workshop and making a game that people want to play, and good on the community in Laramie. Gosh, there's like 30,000 people there. We're still maxed out on RTTs. So Firestorm, like I said before, this might be the last time I play it for a while, and I was hoping I could practice this time with my Ultramarines, because that's the list that I'll be taking to the GT in a couple days, and that's the list that I'll be taking to the Las Vegas Open. I wanted to practice that, but we couldn't do it, and I still wanted to play in a tournament. So here we go. The new Firestorm lists are, rules are in effect with the changed oath moment and everything. So before we move it forward into this, folks, just a couple small things. First off, please, if you haven't already liked, subscribed, done all that stuff with the channel, please, I would implore you, please do that. Comment, all the things that help to grow this channel, help us to mount the algorithm, so to speak. Would really mean a lot to me. It already has meant a lot to me. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs. So I mean, go in and sub your wife and everything too. She'll benefit. No, but then also, folks, and we'll talk about this a little bit more at the end, there's also a Discord server for this channel, still a big work in progress, but we're starting to get some people to come in and chat and hang out and talk about 40k, which is amazing. I'm excited for the community to start blowing up. It's going to be super fun. And then I also have an Instagram that I posted in a couple times during the last RTT. Hopefully I'll get more and more used to that aspect of content creation, because that's not something I've done even with my other YouTube channel. So social media still kind of evades me, but it is something that I've been doing, also found in the video description. So let's talk about the first list, shall we? So we've got Firestorm again. Here we go, folks. Right, so I wanted to play the Gladius list that I did a video report for a little bit ago, but it isn't going to work, so we'll play trusty Firestorm one more time. It just takes a while to paint stuff, and I can't rush true art, I suppose. But anyways, the list is what I've been talking about. I did have to make a quick audible, though, because I have 5 scouts that are still being painted, and instead, because they're the exact same point value, I instead took the 70 points of Lieutenant with Combi-weapon, which they play a very similar role, so I don't really regret having done that, but that is a change from what I've talked about in the past. And otherwise, we're trying incursors. We'll see. Like, they didn't really end up doing that much. They're good. They're fine skirmishing. I think we could find something better. And otherwise, that's it, folks. That's what we're taking. 4 characters and stuff. My opponent in the first round plays Legion of Excess, which is the new Slaanesh Demon detachment. I hadn't played against it yet, so I was intrigued to see what it was like. Lots of Keepers of Secrets. You can see that the model count is pretty low here, and I hope I didn't. I think I got it mostly right. Yeah, so it's very low model count. We gotta work around it. They have a lot of interesting strats, which I think I'll tell you about as we're playing. One of the biggest one, though, of course, is that the big models can move through walls, and that is apparent here in this video. So guys, we're trying something new. I don't think I'd like it quite as much visually as the reports I've been doing in the past. However, it also takes me a fraction of the time that those other reports take a really long time to edit all the slides. It is really tough to do. And so I would have genuinely appreciate feedback, respectful feedback on how you like this method of battle reports. I've already actually recorded those, and I'm coming back to record all the little stuff leading up to them. So I would appreciate what your guys' thoughts are on those matches and what it looks like. How, if there's something you think would be easy to add, or something that's a little frustrating, or something, you know, if you respectfully tell me about it respectfully, I'm happy to. And if you want to give more detailed feedback, or to like have a discussion about it, pop into the Discord server, guys. It's free. It's a good time. We don't charge for that community stuff here in this neck of the woods. I know that other creators do that, but we're not going to put a wall on the Discord server, certainly. So anyways, let me know what your thoughts are. Okay, so my first match was against this Legion of Excess Slaanesh team, and you can see that he's got 3 different Keepers of Secrets. He's got 2 squads of 3 Fiends. One of them is going to be a Deep Strike. He's got some Demonettes here, kind of threatening the center a little bit. Another unit of 10 Demonettes are in reserve with Celeste. I don't know how the heck to say that name. And then up here we have the Mask of Slaanesh. We have a few Fiends, and then here are the 2 Keepers. And Shalaxi is down here, and this is a beautiful army, folks, just absolutely lovely. And in the video description, actually, I've put a link to my opponent's, he's a commissioned painter, really lovely. My pictures don't do it justice. There'll be a couple more that I take of just of the full army together a little bit later. You guys can check that out as well at the end of the battle. But anyways, this is a really nice army. There's some pink horrors here, and the blue scribes just kind of look like an objective. They just sit on the objective and pretend like they're an objective. And then some more Fiends. So kind of spread out. Nothing is really threatening the center here. Like the pink horrors aren't very close at all. The Demonettes, but there's very little shooting in this army. Of course, it makes up for it with some pretty vicious stratagems. I think the biggest, most remarkable part of his deployment, though, for me, the thing that I noticed most was he had put his Keepers of Secrets down here, which is nice to have them supporting each other, but then Shalaxi really kind of wants that same support. Like, you kind of want them all to be supporting each other on some level, but Shalaxi's way over here, and yeah, she has some units to go with her, but nothing too crazy. Like, she's gonna struggle on her own as the sole big creature on this whole side. So, anyways, for my own deployment, I have the infiltrators here. They'll get on the objective probably turn 1, but it's nice too. It's good to just be in the habit of not putting characters or models onto objectives unless they absolutely need to be. Like you can see the Ballistus kind of needs to be because he's right here in the middle, and we did determine before the game started that the Dreadnoughts could walk through this little gap, and I think Shalaxi and company could do the same, but that's why he's placed there. And then we have the Van Vets with Flamers right here as well, just so that they can threaten a couple objectives, just kind of skirmish, you know, mess with his objective if an opportunity came up, but mostly just mess with this middle objective. We also have a squad of 5 Infernus in here that you guys can't see, just to also like have a threat, a turn 1 threat to whatever he might get onto this objective. We can just burninate the heck out of them. And then a little bit farther down, we have the Land Raider. Of course, he's just going to go here in this little nook, and then we can just skirmish wherever on the board. Just kind of, you know, typically cause the mayhem that a Land Raider can cause. It could even threaten over here if it needs to, though that's a little bit, that'd be kind of a reach. That'd be a little desperation play. And then in the bottom right here, Vulkan declared this, of course, the expansion objective to be his own objective, where he's going to be 10 OC. So Vulkan and company, I just put him up here just to kind of show where he was. And then we have the Incursors, who are just going to be a skirmishing unit who block. He's got some deep strikes, right? So we got to protect our backfield, and whereas the Infiltrators can protect this whole area, they're not going to be able to get over here. And so the Incursors are just going to protect that little zone there from being deep struck. Meanwhile, this is such a good firing lane on this board. We got the Executioner who can go all the way up to here potentially, and then once he's up there, we have this really nice line of fire that can threaten some of this objective, and it can threaten, of course, protect the expansion objective. And if we really wanted to, we could come up here and then in the next turn crash through this wall and potentially just see this objective or see the full, it could even get all the way to our opponent's objective if necessary. Of course, we have to clear this zone out and everything. We also have the Combi Lieutenant here. I didn't have scouts available for this, that they weren't ready to, they hadn't been painted either. So we've got the Combi Lieutenant here as the skirmishing guy, just protecting, which he does some cool stuff. The reactive move is something that I actually think Firestorm needs more of, so I'm kind of thinking maybe we keep it. I wish we had more things that had reactive moves, honestly, but one way or another, we've got that's basically it. And the main objective here, guys, is I don't really care that much about his objective. Like, he doesn't have that much that holds it, though. Of course, with his big guys here, I was kind of hoping he would just stomp over here and then we cause enough mayhem on his objective and make him grateful to have this objective, and then he can have it. He can have it. We'll just stop him from scoring a couple times, maybe just make him annoyed. Same with this objective. Honestly, eventually we can win this, but it depends on what he really wants to do with his big guys and everything. The middle objective, though, we can skirmish all day. We've got tons of support with the Land Raider here, the Ballistus. I mean, he can get here and he gets all sorts of cool firing lanes as well. So, I mean, the Ballistus is in a nice little zone. We've got the jump pack guys and the intercessors that can do stuff here. But then the middle objective, I mean, we've just got coverage for so many areas. Vulkan right here, he can poke his head out and target some units to be able to get bonuses to be able to flamer things and everything for the torrent, and then if we can just take this home objective, kill Shalaxi, because if she hides behind the wall the whole time and just hides at home, that's a loss, right, for my opponent. So he's got to get out with Shalaxi, but with her as the only character on this side, only big one, we should be able to take her out, and then we'll have a free waltz over to his objective and maybe be able to take it. So of course, we don't know exactly what our opponent's going to do, but that's kind of the game plan, so to speak. So, anyways, he gets first turn, and the thing that really struck me. So you'll see my response move as well, but the thing that really stuck out to me was he didn't move the Keepers of Secrets. I think. Well, one thing he told me at the end of the game was that he had kind of realized that he had made a mistake with not having the big creatures supporting each other, and Shalaxi really wants that support, right? But he was thinking, okay, well, I'm playing demons, I can just do uppy downy, and then he forgot that he's playing Legion of Excess, which totally happens. He doesn't have a ton of reps into it yet, but he can't correct it, and so instead he's waiting for reinforcements and stuff, and he's got the Keepers here. Instead of threatening his expansion objective, I mean, I loved that, because then I didn't have to do anything with that. I could just let him not score it. That's wonderful. Put the Demonettes right here, which is a great skirmishing position, of course. But then I think the thing that made a big difference here was he did move his pink horrors right here. Got a lot of them on the objective, but they were kind of poking out here. There's a couple of them here, and so Vulkan was able to move up, and he had a perfect. Whoa, that was madness, folks. He had this perfect view right here within 24 inches of a couple of pink horrors, so we got to reroll wounds with Torrent and Melta. And of course, then the Land Raider, who was over here, it just advanced up and I got him with just perfectly within 12 inches of one of the pink horrors and killed them with one activation. So if you don't know how pink horrors work, if they die, then there's a 50% chance they just split into blue horrors instead and make the unit big. And then if you it can't kill all the blue horrors in one activation, then they can split into some other kind of horror, and then they explode and do mortal wounds. It's a whole mess. But the Land Raider was able to kill them all in one activation, so thank goodness for that. The Infernus here from the wall, they jumped over here, and we're happy enough to. They didn't get on the objective because you don't want demonettes to catch you while you're on the objective, but they were ready to burninate here if they needed to. We had the Ballistus here who could burninate. We had the scouts who could shoot as well. So we had a lot of different things that might potentially have worked, but one way or another, we were good to go. And I believe this was a time that I had already scored, or I was getting area denial and secure no man's land. So we have to get on this objective. The scouts climb on the objective, and then of course we have the Land Raider on the objective. I put the Infernus here to kind of move block him, or charge block him, to screen the Executioner, and then of course Vulkan's here ready to heroic intervene if we want. And just the idea of, his Shalaxi is moving kind of threatening. There's a screen with the fiends and everything. But the idea is Shalaxi's not going to be able to get to my Land Raider unless I say so. And I kind of forgot. There's a little bit of a blunder. I forgot that she could move through walls, and I forgot that she has shooting. And so the idea here was, when she gets close, when Shalaxi comes close, she's going to try to charge my Land Raider, of course, and then my Combi Lieutenant would reactive move just to right here somewhere to force her to stop being able to. She can't charge, right? I don't want her to charge, and so that was the idea. Was he was going to be kind of the screen. I could have set up some Eradicators around here from the Land Raider and stopped Shalaxi from charging completely, but instead, I thought the Combi Lieutenant was going to be enough, frankly, and as it turned out, it just kind of wasn't. So we killed those pink horrors. That was great. We got our full score. We got 10 for secondary on turn 1, which is always wonderful. And he's not scoring that much on secondary. He didn't end up scoring that much at all, actually, the whole game. And so what ended up happening, though, was indeed I failed to account for the fact that, yes, they can move through walls with a CP, and that's exactly what Shalaxi did. And it came down to me needing to pass one save, a 4-up save on the Land Raider. I failed it. I did the CP reroll, still failed it, and you can see a Land Raider sized hole right here on the board and in my heart. And then the Fiends, gosh, they were vicious. They killed the entire Infernus squad here and then consolidated into the tank. The tank, I think, did like a damage or something. Oh yeah, look at that. It did 1 damage to 1 Fiend. They have 4 wounds each, apparently. So anyways, not a great situation, but I mean, Shalaxi's also not doing too great, right? So up top here, there's there's really funny mechanic that is called, they call it the skank shock, which is basically the demonettes would come over, and they've got a stratagem where when they charge in, they basically do a tank shock kind of move. And so for each character that is within engagement range, they roll a d6 on a 5+, they do a mortal wound. And so they come over here and explode, killing 3 of the Infernus Marines here. Now, I had put the Infernus right here just because I wanted to kind of lay a small trap. So I wanted them to be in range to heroic intervene with the Van Vets, and that's exactly what happened. Now, he also has the ability with this detachment to, when they charge in, they let go of of strikes first, and in exchange you get all kinds of awesome rerolls. It's like supercharges the unit. But the thing that I think kind of was surprised about was the demonettes. So that the demonettes come in, they do the skank shock, they kill some Infernus, feeling good. I get my heroic invention, and then he gives up strikes first on the the demonettes, and I rolled like a 10, so all of the guys got into melee range, and with 40 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding. They're strength 6 when they're on the charge. They have lance, and so they're wounding on 2s, and the entire demonite unit just got wiped out. The captain, of course, as well, got was hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s. So 45 total attacks, everything wounding on 2s against things with a tough 3 with a 5-up invuln. Of course, they got wiped out. So not kind of a good turn for me, because I wiped out that squad, and he's not on the objective, so the scouts actually get to score on it this turn, which is a fantastic result. Of course, we're not going to score on our expansion objective this turn, but right now we're kind of set up to be able to at least hold the expansion objective. Like, we can just wipe out everything on this side, and in the middle we're well positioned to kind of skirmish around. The only bad thing, of course, is we lost that land raider, but even still we've got the blade guard kind of where we want them anyways. They're kind of in position, and things are looking good for the most part. You can see he did move his greater demons up a little bit. He got some fiends and the mask up here as well, but we've got some cool positioning here. And so on my turn, I mean the Erads, and I mean Vulkan even gets, because Shalaxi was just in the footprint here, everything of mine could see her. And between, I think I didn't actually even use the Executioner, but we killed Shalaxi. You can see just all the different things we're able to take her. We're able to roll against her and take her out. And she did. She just died. I didn't even have to charge her. The Blade Guard were ready, but that didn't need to happen. The Infernus are here, and I decided to... I needed to cleanse, so I did that with... Maybe I did that with the Infernus, but then I had the Scouts start setting it on fire. We were doing the objective that they're gonna set it on fire if we can. Scorched Earth is what it's called. And so just to kind of force him into some kind of action down here. And now I made a mistake. The Van Vets moved. They should have all just moved into this little footprint here and just stayed safe. Instead, they kind of exposed themselves, and you'll see in a minute why that was a blunder. But I was kind of set up to kind of absorb the whatever happened over here. And I mean, this Keeper of Secrets is way out of position anyways. Like, we should be okay, I think. And the Fiends all died to the Executioner shots, and then I could have just charged with Vulkan and the Company Heroes and wiped them out. I didn't need to, but that was possible. I mean, nothing too crazy here. And I mean, we're kind of in position to just be able to next turn just head straight for their objective. Of course, he still has some deep striking to do, and that's exactly what he did. Let's see. I'm still not used to these controls here, folks. So what he ended up doing, he landed Celeste with the Demonettes here, and then I don't remember what he did. Oh yeah, so some Fiends here. He took his other Fiends right here to kind of skirmish, and then the thing I didn't really see coming, and I have to get used to how fast these guys can move, is the Keeper of Secrets was able to move like from all the way over here, and then just charge the Van Vets and killed like 10 of them. I think they have a couple shooting attacks, and I rolled some pretty bad saves, and that just wouldn't have happened if I just put my Van Vets back here behind this footprint. It would have been fine. We would have been totally fine. Anyways, the game was about to end just because we had taken a really long time to deploy and hang out and stuff, and apparently our clocks were a little bit off. Anyways, we were using a clock, I believe. You can kind of see it way over here on the periphery, folks. I don't know how that's going to show up on YouTube, but it's over here. The clock did exist, but I mean, at the end of the day, that backed it up. So at the end of the day, we just went to see what, like, I was already ahead by, I don't know, 30 points or so at this point, because I've been scoring a lot of secondaries. He wasn't scoring that many. And I mean, frankly, I think so he put the Fiends up here, and that makes it a kind of a mess here, because I hadn't expected to lose the Van Vets, because I was kind of an idiot. Like I said, should have placed them back here, but we had a good chance here, because I'm fairly certain the the Bladeguard could come over here, chop this Keeper of Secrets into little pieces. Then we have a few shots over here from the Ballistus. Probably get a little damage on this Keeper if we needed to. And, I mean, the Captain's not really going to do that much, but just kind of mess around here. But once we wipe them out, I mean, the Fiends would be able to come over, but their clap back against the Bladeguard probably wouldn't be enough. The Bladeguard probably wipe out another unit of Fiends. Maybe the Keeper of Secrets comes over here and messes with the Bladeguard. If that happens, it could get ugly. But then, of course, we still do have the Erads to come over here and mess. And you know, it could have gotten a little ugly in the middle, but I think I could have held the middle in stasis for the most part, and then we could have gone over and just taken the. I mean, Celeste and the Demonettes weren't going to survive the Executioner and Vulkan squad. They just weren't going to survive that, and then just go to the objective and burn his home objective. So, anyways, we ended up calling it there. I think I ended up winning by 30. So good match to my opponent. His army was quite lovely. So check in the video description for more information on how to contact my opponent. I think that it's Yigg Studios, something like that. So go check it out, guys. It's incredibly creepy in a good way. So, anyways, moving on to the next round, we're gonna face some dwarves, which I haven't faced for a really long time. All right, cool. So we got the win, and now we're facing Leagues of Votann for the first time since. It was like my 3rd or 4th game ever in 10th edition. I faced someone who very patiently explained how Leagues of Votann worked, and I won that game. And it's been a long time since I played it, though. It's been like half a year or something. I've been playing for about 5 months, so that's an exaggeration. But anyways, he's got a lot of stuff I don't know about. All the Hearthguard I kind of remember vaguely. They can deep strike and stuff. He's got Sagittars and land fortresses, and it's an interesting army. It seems pretty straightforward, though. Moving into this fight, how survivable is my Land Raider? How can we do things? I just don't know. It's kind of a blind spot. It's nice that I fought against it before, but I don't remember anything about Votann. So let's jump into it, folks. So game 2 was against a dude named Cody, and he was a local. And Votann, I just don't know much about him. He seemed very confident that he was going to cook me. Honestly, not in any not a bad way at all. He later told me he was like, I don't think I've ever lost to Space Marines before, and so that it's not a great place to be if he really knows how to beat my faction. But I ended up getting first turn against him, which typically I don't want to do that, but this is the Kill Killmore one. It's what's it called? It's Purge the Foe is what it's called. And so there's he placed some of his guys fairly aggressively. Here, let me show you. I'll show you what I placed. Well, I'll show you what he placed first. So okay, so the little truck things are called Sagittars, and they're able to scout forward. He's got some Jaegers here. Those are the infiltrating guys. They have a reactive move if I move within 9 inches. So there is that. There's another Sagittar. Both of these, I think, I forget what they had in them. One of them had a squad of warriors, though I'm not sure on his list. I couldn't find the other squad that he had in there, actually. Now that I'm thinking of it, I'm just not kind of just drawing a blank. So hold on. Okay, yeah, I actually don't know what he had. Maybe it's he had some warriors in one of them, though, and then some like character unit in another. I'm not really sure, guys. And then so he's got the Pioneers, which are the biker skirmisher guys. He's got 3 units of Hearthguard. One of them's a huge one with Call in it. Another one's a smaller one inside the land fortress that is led by some kind of champion who's just more bikers, another Sagittar with warriors. I know that they had warriors. And then in reserves, he had a deep striking unit of pioneers, and he had this Thunderkin, which are kind of anti-tank guys, I guess. It's Crucible Battle Deployment, and the idea, of course, is to, I mean, the center is just so wide open. There's so many firing lanes here. So that makes me nervous. We need to be able to threaten the center at the very least, but then the idea is, depending on how, like, you kind of placed lightly over here on the right side, on the flank, and so the possibility of having the Van Vets go and just take this objective was not impossible. We also have some Infernus Marines here that can threaten either side. The scouts are here just to skirmish, as scouts will do, get area denial or hold the objective for extend battle lines, etc., or secure no man's land rather. And then we have the Combi Lieutenant here. And of course, he's just going to walk onto the objective and hold it if he can, if he needs to. The Jaegers, of course, are going to do their damnedest to stop me from holding this objective, but we really need to hold this expansion objective here, if at all possible. So we have the Executioner here, who can just come up here, and he's got a pretty nice fire lane if he needs it. So he can go up here, and then he's got all the way down here, or if he moves up to right here, then he can threaten the whole center of the board, or if he moves up just a little bit more, then he can threaten, you know, all the different angles here. So having the Executioner just kind of threaten all the places. Plus, if I really need to, he can move up into this corner, just kind of poke his head out, and then he's got line of sight to, you know, the rest of the board, basically. The Land Raider was a little bit more tricky. If he goes to right here, then it's going to block most of the lines of sight that opponent can get to, though of course he's going to be able to surpass that just because there's gaps, you know, like you just can't park it perfectly and expect the Land Raider to survive. And so I decided I'd be a little more aggressive with the Land Raider, as you'll see in this one. Plus, it didn't seem like he had much, like too terribly much anti-tank. And then of course the Ballistus, I just wanted him to be safe turn one, and then you can just step up to here, and this looked like this is going to be like kind of the primary staging ground for our opponents. So having him just be able to cover the important lanes was that was sufficient for me, I thought. So I did end up going first, and so his Jaegers here, they did reactive move a little bit, but you can see Vulkan was able to draw line of sight too. So I moved up a little bit with the Lieutenant. He moved his Jaegers like over this direction, but then I was still able to get the Land Raider right to this position, right within 12 inches, and being able to see like the last Jaeger. They didn't get to move that far, and so he was able to burninate them, at least some of them, and then I think I was able to finish them off with the Executioner. And I did have the Flamers who were in range to be able to do that as well. I think they were just backups at this point, but as long as they're in the terrain, that there's a little gap here where they could see the Jaegers. So I had it covered. So we got rid of the scouting units, which got me a kill for the primary, which was really nice. And then you can see we've just got crowded flamer dudes just hanging out here on this bottom objective, ready to threaten the center or over here. I believe I got some kind of objective that helped me at the start. Yeah, I got secure no man's land, which is you have to hold 2 objectives. And so we have 1 scout just hanging out here ready to die instantly if they shoot at one of them. And then of course we had to keep one of them towed in. And so I was ready to lose a couple scouts. Maybe he could get a big volley with his big squad here. But then the incursors here just to skirmish a little bit. They could get onto the objective if they want to. But the objective here, we've mostly got it secured, right? Like Vulkan, oh yeah, Vulkan was here so you could see the Jaegers, so that we could set him on fire with the Forge Father target, and that was it. The The Land Raider, of course, is a little bit exposed, as you can see. Like, his whole army is going to be able to see the Land Raider, but the thing was, I wanted him to get all of his guys to be able to see the Land Raider so I could see the rest of his guys. I wanted to escalate it right away, and so that's, if the Land Raider could live, that would be great, of course, but even if it didn't, then I'd have all kinds of targets, and the Land Raiders inhabitants wouldn't be totally out of position to be able to threaten things. So anyways, in the next turn, let's see. So he got more of his Hearthguard out. He got the big squad to shoot at the scouts and just did one big volley. Give him a volley! Just wiped out the poor scouts, so he got a kill on turn 1 as well, which is kind of rare for my Purge the Foe. Like, that typically doesn't really happen, but it clearly did happen this time. He had his Sagittar right here, drive up, and he got his warriors out, and he made sure that they weren't in line of sight to the Land Raider here, so that they were all, you know, like right outside, but then the Infernus guys actually had line of sight, and they were able to kill all the warriors with an Overwatch, because warriors don't have good armor. And I'm still wounding on 3s, like 17 hits on average is probably going to cook. With AP1, he's probably going to cook a squad of warriors, and that's exactly what happened. He got another squad of things out, and this is the squad that I'm not sure what they even are, actually. So, something, and so they're out. They were going to shoot at the Land Raider. He doesn't have his Thunderkin in yet because it's turn 1. He's got the Sagittars all able to shoot, though. The Hecaton is shooting. The small squad of dwarves are shooting. And after all is said and done, the Land Raider has 5 wounds remaining. And he's still alive, which was fantastic, of course. And he's got a lot of his big... a lot of his transports exposed and everything, so we can kind of clear this side of the board a little bit, and you can see the warriors over here with the Sagittar. It's just able to hold that objective, and so the Vanveds might be able to move in here, but it's probably a little too early for that. He's still got some reserves coming in and everything. Of course, we don't have any reserves in, but time to be a little more aggressive as well. So the Land Raider moved up some, and they were able to. He was able to actually flame and kill about half of the small Hearthguard squad. My opponent ended up rolling really well for saves there, but did get a little bit of damage in on them. And then I think the biggest part was that, and I kind of wasn't expecting it. We got the Erads out to be able to shoot one of his Sagittars. We had the Executioner be able to shoot a Sagittar, and then we had Infernus. So the Infernus killed that squad that I have no idea. He was like, "Oh, you just barely got enough wounds on it," and just picked it up. I was like, "What even were those?" And he said something, but I had no idea what they were. They were just chilling, apparently. Let's see, my secondaries were not that good here. I got Established Locus and Storm Hostile Objective, which Storm Hostile was not going to be that possible. I could try to take this objective, and in fact, I would have been successful if I tried, but that's probably not worth the headache, frankly, of getting my guys way out of position here. So I didn't go over there, though. Now that I'm looking at it, I probably could have at least sent the Infernus if I had gotten a good advance. The Infernus probably could have gotten, like some of them could have gotten in right here and then just at least burninated the warriors. That wouldn't have been too big of an ask, and then maybe we could have held the objective and just kind of forced him into an awkward situation. Now that I'm thinking of it, I think I should have just done that, frankly, but I didn't do it. And now it's too late, as you might have guessed. So things are looking okay. We've kind of put him on the defensive. We've taken out 2 Sagittars, all of their inhabitants on this side, a bunch of the Terminator dwarf things, and things are looking okay. Of course, the Land Raider is going to die, but we're fine with it. I think I even shot the Hunter Killer. I just didn't take the thing off of it. The Incursors, I was super awkward with them the whole tournament. I think we're gonna lose the incursors. I think we'll do intercessors. I wanted to see what they were like in this list, but they didn't really do that much. And otherwise, pretty good turn here. I didn't score any secondaries though, which of course is bad. And our opponent will come back with kind of with a vengeance. I mean, we did okay on that turn though. Looks like I took a second picture here. So okay, he really wanted to kill the Land Raider, and so he did. Now I made this enormous blunder here, folks. Really, really dumb. It died, of course. The Land Raider died, and I was like, oh, well, I want my Bladeguard to be able to charge whatever is close. Yeah, so he's got the Thunderkin here. There were some of which were able to see the Land Raider. Of course, it died. But then the Bladeguard I could have placed back here where the Land Raider was dead, and his Hearthguard were not really in range. They could have gotten it with like a 10 or an 11 or something. Not at all consistent. Instead, I placed my Bladeguard front and center. I really... This is something that I'm just going to blame on inexperience, frankly, but... I placed him right there, and he was like, oh, well, do you have like strikes first or something? And that was immediately when I was like, oh dear, like I forgot these little guys are gonna charge the Bladeguard, and so they did. The Bladeguard rolled pretty poorly on their saves, actually, it must be said, and so one Bladeguard lived on 1 wound, and then Adrax was here. They managed to kill all of the remaining of the small squad except for the character, I believe. Maybe there was a couple left. I don't know. I kind of rolled poorly there as well. But you can see the bigger squad is also not doing the best. Oh yeah, I got an Overwatch with the Land Raider before it died, and it killed a bunch of his dudes. So that was good. And you can see the Erad is down to 1 health or 1 life. So. But he's still alive, and this is the kill more thing. So I think I did end up, I didn't hold more objectives, but I held an objective and I killed more than him because that Eradicator lived, which was great. Actually, I think the only thing he killed was technically the Land Raider, but he did get onto this objective with the Sagittar, and now it's go time without my best unit. Like, the Bladeguard could have just come in there and wiped out either one of those Hearthguard units, and instead I just let them die for nothing, which was really frustrating. Of course, you don't want to do that. That's never really that okay. So let's see, was this the last? Yeah, okay. So of course we're getting a little short on time. You can see, well, we're still doing okay, and we actually. He'd spent way more time than I had. This was after equal turns, but what ended up happening, we'll try to keep it brief. So we've got the warriors here. They're just hanging on the objective. I could have gone and just taken that objective maybe, but what I ended up doing was I moved the Van Vets over here, and we did immolation protocols and killed the majority of dwarves here. Like, I think that we moved them all the way down to just 2 leaders, and then I think I was able to shoot one of the leaders as well. And then the Bladeguard were able to, the Bladeguard killed one of the leaders, and then one of the leaders was left alive, something like that. The Executioner, who was suddenly very threatened by all these Thunderkin, decided to poke his nose out right here and shoot a bunch, did a bunch of damage. And really just did pretty well here. The Incursors could have done some damage against the stupid dwarves, but they didn't. They decided to bravely run away. Let's see, the Ballistus killed a couple more. Really just wanted to kill as many Pioneers as possible. He responded by rapid ingressing his final Pioneer squad right here, where I didn't have anyone left. So I had taken the Infernus Marines. I had taken these guys. The Infernus Marines at this time, they definitely, now that I'm looking at it, guys, I really should have sent the Infernus right here just to shoot and try to take out the warriors, just so he would have to have something on that objective. But anyways, we shot and killed all of the Hearthguard except for one leader, and then the Van Vets charged the Sagittar, and through they did a ton of wounds. He made a massive number of saves on the stupid thing, and it lived on a few. Really frustrating there, honestly. I think it was like the captain did like 4 wounds, and he just passed all of them with his 5-up save. Not cool, bro. But one way or another, we're still holding this objective. Oh, this is the other big thing. Vulkan squad, so we got the captain to go stand on the objective. Vulkan moves to right here, tries to charge the Thunderkin, needs a 7, fails it, does a CP reroll, fails it again. Oh my gosh, I really needed that. If we'd been able to do that with the company heroes, we could have wiped them out. But it didn't happen. And then his clapback, he killed all of the veterans, but not the captain. In the middle, he charged with the Hearthguard leader against Adrax and his buddy, and the buddy had died during shooting, I think. So it was just him versus Adrax. The leader couldn't kill Adrax, and so Adrax, of course, just knocked his head off, clean off. It was gone. And then the game was basically over at that point. He was like, okay, do you want to just call it here? Because the other big thing was his rapid ingress guys had tried to, like, they had rapid ingress super far away, and so they needed a 9 to be able to charge, and even with a free reroll to charge, they didn't get the charge on the what's it called, the infiltrators. And at that point, I was set to charge, or to score. Like, I had enough models on the middle to score, I had enough on this side to score, and the momentum was clearly on my side. Like, he could have claimed this objective, but that's just one objective in Purge the Foe. Like, it didn't really matter. I had enough models. Like, I even had Adrax available to just all of these guys were dead, and so Adrax could have just meandered his way up to mess with the Hecaton or finish off the Sagittar. The game wasn't all the way over, but you know, Vulkan was also able to, at that point, the Thunderkin hadn't moved. They did actually kill the Executioner, which was, oh no, the Executioner, did it live? I think it actually might have lived. Oh no, it was between, I don't remember, guys, at this point. No, the Executioner did die, but then Vulkan was able, like, he could have gone in, burninated them. He was so close, he could have killed as many as he wanted, and you know, the Mastercrafted Heavy Bolter would have done some really good work on these guys because it's 3 damage each, and then we could charge in, take them out. I'd already killed a bunch of his Pioneers with other shooting, just because I didn't want to kill the Hearthguard away from being able to charge them. And so, and anyways, basically he just had his Hecaton left. Hecaton and like a couple Pioneers, and that was basically it. Well, he had his guys, but they were way out of position unless he wanted to take this objective, which if he did, didn't particularly care that much because we were controlling the rest of the board pretty well. And that was basically it. I ended up, I think we just marked it as a win. Let's see. I ended up as a 59-44 win for me, though we didn't get to play our 3rd or 4th turns. And that was it. Cody was a really great sport, really fun guy to play against. Would absolutely do it again. And then, of course, I get paired against the one detachment that I really wanted no part of, the Star Shatter Arsenal with Necrons. It's a whole mess, so stay tuned for that. Ooh, boy, Star Shatter Arsenal. This is the thing that no one can shut up about. This is supposed to be the most game-breaking detachment out there, and this is actually against a really good player. I think I talked about it a little bit in the match itself, the part that you're about to watch, so I won't get super into it, but this is a very skilled opponent, and I think the biggest list change from like what the net list, so to speak, have been doing, and this is a big debate actually amongst a lot of players apparently, that you can take the Silent King in this list, but he's a lot of points, and you get rid of all of the little stuff that skirmishes and everything, and so I don't know if so you can take the Silent King or not. Apparently my opponent did not take the Silent King, and you get to see what that looks like. I think both versions are probably quite viable, as you'll see here, but this is the finals, man. Can we actually overcome it? Can we actually finally win one of these stupid things instead of going 2-1 every single RTT? Let's find out. So this is the match number 3, and you can see the first picture I took. We were well into our clocks already. You guys already saw the list, I believe. And now this board is one of my least favorites for Firestorm against a shooty list, which Star Shatter is just, I mean, the Doomsday Arcs, and I mean anything here can have a free advance, a guaranteed 6-inch advance. And so anyways, it's kind of a mess. I think we only ended up getting 3 or 4 turns in on this game as well. We were both pretty tired, but my opponent was I mean, incredibly skilled. He told me that he was like he's like the worst player in the group that he plays with, which I mean, maybe like it's a good group. The Denver Mountain Trolls are all really good. But he was like, yeah, I'm not that good. I'm the worst player in that group. But when I went to look at it, like all of his big event records are all, you know, like 5-1 at GTs and stuff. Like really highly skilled player. So anyways, we've got this situation where neither of us scored a single point on primary. It's linchpin, so we scored 3 points. We scored our home objective, and we killed each other off of all the other objectives for at least 3 turns. We probably could have done that for a 4th turn. And it was apparently so intense, and I was so tired. I didn't take a lot of pictures at the start, but essentially what happened, he had his Ghost Arc here, he had an Annihilation Barge here, and then the lines of sight, you can see here my total disaster. I had been asking the whole game, like, okay, like, can you see my Land Raider? Can you see my Land Raider? And he answered honestly, like we were both doing the same thing, playing by intent. And then, so my Land Raider started right about here, because I didn't want him to have any line of sight. At some point, I moved it up. I was so certain that he didn't have line of sight, but I didn't even ask him. And now I look at the picture and I'm like, gosh, that was so stupid. So like on turn 2 or 3, he was able to just kill my Land Raider with 1 shot, Annihilation Barge, 1 shot, like 4 wounds. I fail all my 4-up saves and it dies. Just, of course, you know, like that's just what happens. It does flat 4 damage each, and it just kills the Land Raider, just instantly dead. In the same turn, the Annihilation Barge, this is right before the total disaster actually, this Annihilation Barge moved up, took shots at Vulkan Squad and evaporated them. Every single one of them failed every single save, and they all just died. So in 2 activations, he was able to one-shot the company heroes with Vulkan on his really strong objective. Like this is the one where he has a 4-up Feel No Pain. He failed all of those Feel No Pains, failed every single thing. So he moved up here, deleted them, and then the very next activation, he had another Annihilation Barge shoot the Land Raider, which I thought was not visible. Clearly it was, like just clearly me being dumb with it. He had plenty of room to be backed up. I just, and my opponent would have actually let me back it up a little if, I am sure he would have let me back it up if I had the presence of mind just to clarify at the start and say, hey, my goal here is to make it so that this guy can't see me. He can't see my Land Raider. That's all that I needed to do. So those are my 2 big blunders. And meanwhile, I was able to score some like area denial and stuff. Neither of us wanted to get in the center. And so once my Blade Guard died, they just camped out here. And they were just waiting to go in here and bite their head off. He had a big unit of destroyers with the Destroyer Lord right in here. And so that they had moved up and they were ready to just delete the like, we were both shocked that his Annihilation Barge just killed Vulkan Squad. So the destroyers were out here. They were ready to shoot and kill the Blade Guard as well. And So I rapid ingressed my Van Vets. You can see some scouts that have had better times. He had like a Scorpec Lord come in and delete most of them, or a Scorpec squad. But you can see, so I rapid ingressed my Van Vets here. And so on my own turn, I was able to go in here, and he's got warriors in this Ghost Ark. And gosh, what a depressing thing. They got out, I overwatched with Vulkan squad, killed 9 of them, and then 6 of them revived from the Ghost Ark and got back in. Just so demoralizing, and then they regrew all the way to full the next turn with the reanimation protocols. Just a very depressing state of affairs. And then, so anyways, they got back out again. So the Van Vets jump over here into this little corner here so that they couldn't be overwatched by the destroyers who were parked right here. Of course, Vulkan squad is all the way dead right now. Dead. Goodbye. Ugh, so sad. But so I used the hand flamers to which on average I think they get I got 40 total hits, and on average I think that means that all the warriors died. Instead, I think 5 total warriors died, so not even they weren't even down to half. And then they did, and then they immediately, of course, just noped out back into the Ghost Ark and heal all the way up again. And then I did manage to charge the destroyers, and I got the last one. So the Destroyer Lord was left alive, and the Destroyer, there was one Destroyer left on 1 wound, which if you know again how it works against Necrons, he just popped his Res Orb. The Destroyer Lord, well, we might even have a photo of this, actually, now that I'm thinking of it. Here, let's take a look. Let's see. Yeah, okay. All right, so here we are. So he's got the, oh, I guess he didn't, so there's 5 warriors left. He decided not to get him back in. I don't remember exactly, but anyways, the Van Vets are there. They charged, they killed all but 1 of the destroyers, and then he used his Res Orb, and he used the whatever the protocols are, the reviving protocols, and they all lived. I got like 1 shot with the Ballistas actually hit and did any damage to the Ghost Ark, so it was down to 7. And I mean, of course, you know the story next. Like, the Van Vets all just catastrophically lost their lives because the destroyers were back to like 4 or 5 models that could shoot, and of course that's enough to just pick up a Marine squad. I needed that squad to die or something. I needed the warriors to maybe die, maybe the Ghost Ark to die. Like, I didn't get anything lucky, and so up the top, my expansion objective, which is normally very strong for me, just totally failed. And of course the Land Raider folding here was really sad, though I did get area denial here, and I was able to keep the score pretty close all the way through turn 3, and then we were both going to run out of time and he was going to win. The one thing I will say, I liked my play down here, at least. There was some good play. He had early on wiped out my Combi Lieutenant, who was skirmishing here. He had a couple units of flayed ones, and then he kept sending in like squads of Ophidians and stuff. And I was able to, with my Infernus from inside the tank, get him out. I also had Infernus that had initially been hiding behind this wall, and we were able to kill all of the skirmishing stuff. And because we have some good lines of sight blocking, like he didn't really have any way to, unless he wanted to get his Annihilation Barge all the way over here, like he didn't really have line of sight to my tank. And then therefore my tank was able to, every time he got on the objective, the tank just deleted anything that got on there, because all he had was skirmishing guys. And like you can see, it had a little bit of damage on it, but because the Ophidians charged it, but then he was able to shoot them off. And one way or another, like, I liked my play down here. I was able to keep him off his expansion, which I wasn't really, I was a little surprised that I was able to. Of course, the game was about to go all the way to hell, and you guys can't really see it. It's tough to see, but there are little footprints here. If we zoomed them in, there are little footprints here. I don't like the glass ones because they're so see-through. It's hard to tell where your lines of sight are, but for the most part, like, the top was a total fiasco that could have actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think it could have gone it could have gone better for me. Just a couple swings of the dice, which I'm not making excuses. I think he outperformed me up here. I wasn't prepared for his level of just 16-inch advance and then shoot with annihilation barges, and then him just being able to kill the Vulkan squad in one shot. I mean, he probably had enough firepower to kill him anyways, if we're just being pretty honest and realistic. Like, probably would have killed him. It was just a shock, right? Like, how could they have done that? It's hard to wrap your mind around someone being able to just one shot your stuff. And then, of course, just the stupid move of having my Land Raider just poking out for no reason. Instead, I mean, the Land Raider's whole intent was just to threaten this objective. So anyways, once again, I lose in the 3rd round to someone. I mean, he's a good enough player, guys. I was happy enough with my performance, and frankly, I think I do a lot better with my Gladius list against this. I don't know if I could beat him, honestly, but I had some good glimmers of good play, like the Executioner and all my skirmishing guys were really starting to, like, his Ophidians had to move into the center. He didn't have anything that could take the center objective, really. And so we were able to just claim that, right? Like, that was just my objective after a while. Or at least it wasn't going to be his objective at the very minimum. And the center was, if the Land Raider had lived, which there was no reason for it to have died prematurely, it could have threatened the center, and it couldn't have held the center, but it could have stopped my opponent from holding it. So, anyways, missed opportunity, of course, and you know, Tom was a very solid player. He spent probably half an hour on his first turn making sure the rest of his turns were set up for success, and you know, he played very intentionally, or with intention, and very skilled. There was a lot of good technical play on his end. I felt like I ended up doing pretty well here as well. I just I lacked experience again. This is the 2nd time I've ever played against Necrons. I know that's wrong. I've played against them 3 times now, but they're a tricky faction, guys. They're very strong, and they've all got, every time I've played against Necrons has been against a different detachment. And so anyways, I'm not making excuses here, I promise. Just by way of understanding what went wrong. There were a lot of things went wrong. I played it to the best of my ability. I thought that I had that there were just a few missed opportunities. We'll do better, though. We'll do better next time, and the Gladius list that I've been practicing with, that you guys have seen me play before, it will be better. So anyways, it ended up out of the whole group of, what, 30? I think I ended up getting 7th place, something like that. So not too bad. My opponents all ended up doing really well. In the tournament, I think there were only 1 game that my opponents lost that wasn't to me, at least. So really, my opponents all did really well. And all my opponents were great. I have no complaints against playing against Tom. He played a good played a good game, and we'll get him next time, I'm sure. So let's do the recap, or the AAR here, and get you on out, shall we, folks? Oh, well, guys. Another tournament, another loss. Though I do think I was a little closer there. Now that I'm looking at it in hindsight, I think I was a little closer there than I thought I was at the time. I think a couple rolls could have gone a little better direction for me, and it would have been better. But that's fine. And honestly, guys, I'm tired of Firestorm. I like it. I think it's a great, like, learn the new mechanics kind of army, and maybe we can take it to another level here eventually, but I just need a change. I need a change. I feel too frustrated by my tournament results, frankly. You know, just keep getting to that point where it's like the one person I lose to is the person who wins the tournament every single time. And it's always really close, and there's always like something I could have done better, but it's like my list, I feel like I'm not playing perfectly, of course not, but I'm also playing well enough that I need to do something else right now. We need to change the setting. And so, anyways, Gladius is next up. We're playing it when this is released. I'll probably be playing my first few games of the next GT. Actually, I'll be playing in a GT with Gladius. So, let's hope that the painting of those models gets done. Actually, so. Anyways, the Firestorm list does have play, and that's really what this video is about. It's about how Firestorm works. We'll still work on lists and stuff, folks. But I don't know what's gonna happen next with it, though. Like, do we take out the Land Raider? The Land Raider died in all 3 of my matches, which is usually, like, the kill rate on my Land Raider is typically very low, and this time I wasn't as careful with it, or maybe we just had the wrong... just the wrong terrain for it or something. But if we got rid of it, what could we do with it? Like, the Vanguard vets are gonna stay. Like, maybe we put them in an impulsor or something, because they can hold 7. We could do it. Is that where we want to start? We could do that and add something for 200 points. We could add some Stern Guard, maybe. I don't know if Stern Guard is something we want in this list, but something to think about. And just a huge shout out to Laramie and I think they call themselves the Leagues of Brotan. They got good terrain. They're running a good event. And they're coordinating with the Fight Club in Denver to make sure that their tournaments aren't on the same, like, weekend and stuff, so there's not a huge competition. It's more of just, like, we're all working together to provide a lot of events to this area, and I love it, man. I grew up in Wyoming, and, I went to university there. I got a master's degree there. It's an awesome thing to be back in. I mean, it's not my hometown, but it feels like it. I spent enough years there. It's close enough. I spent 0 time in my hometown because all of my family moved away a while ago. You don't need to know that story. But one way or another, huge props to them. We used to struggle to get enough people, and now apparently that has changed, and that's really cool. It genuinely is a really cool thing. Okay, so in terms of news, just a reiteration, we have the Discord server. It's free. It's going to stay free, or it's not going to be an exclusive thing. We may end up having channels that are, if we add like a Patreon or something like that. And speaking of which, in the comments, you could tell me if you'd be interested in a Patreon, what would you want out of it? Like looking at lists, helping you, playing coaching or whatever. We could probably do something like that. I feel like I still need to be a little more seasoned to start really truly coaching players, but I used to be at that level. We might be able to get there again. And then, of course, there is a link to the Instagram as well, so go check that out as I continue to try to build some level of habit in posting on social media. I have always had a bad attitude about social media, and I'm trying to change that because I think it grows businesses well or something. It's a good way to connect with the community as well. We'll work on it, folks. I don't know about Instagram, but I'm working on it. And then what events are next? Because I tend to be a very events-driven player, and whereas we'll make other content besides just events, I mean, I'm a competitive player, and my stuff is going to have that angle, right? Like whether we can get some better production value and start making things nicer and more complete, we can keep pushing that, but the core of it is always going to be competitive play. Casual play, I have great respect for, and I can't participate in it, frankly. Nothing at all wrong with it. I'm practicing for tournaments. That's what I'm doing. If I'm not playing in a tournament, I'm practicing for it. And so with that all being said and proclaimed, what's next for my events? Because there'll always be a list of, if there's not an event to build for, I'll start losing interest. I just want to build for an event. So we've got the January Open coming up here. You guys will probably be watching this video as I am competing in it, so you'll be able to see my updates on Instagram if you would like. There's also the event itself has the best coast pairings website on it. You can go check that out. I put the link to all of these events actually in there as well as the list that I used, the complete list that I used in for the Firestorm. It's in my video description. Lots of stuff in that video description, guys. Oh, but then Las Vegas Open, I'll be leaving in less than a week from when this was recorded. I'll be down there, and it starts on Friday, January 17th, so that's really excited. My first Super Major since I've been back. I'll have been playing for, what, 5 months, 5.5, something like that. We'll see if we can make any noise. Probably not, but I'm excited to see what happens. And then there's the Warhammer GT. The Leagues of Brotan are going to be doing that one as well. We'll see how that one goes. It's in Laramie once again. And then the next month after that, there might be an RTT in there somewhere. I just haven't put it on the schedule yet. But then there's also the Rocky Mountain Open, which are the same people who do the Las Vegas Open. It just happens to be in Denver, and it's another super major. So that's in March, and we'll pay more attention to that as the dates get closer. So that's it, folks. Let me know what your thoughts are. Give me feedback. I know this video probably ends up being over an hour once I finish editing it down and stuff, but hopefully, any feedback is welcome. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. Take care, folks.